Frank Castle lost his family in a park on a Sunday afternoon. A wife and 2 kids caught in the crossfire of a gang dispute. Random, senseless, and in one moment, everything that gave Frank Castle a reason to be gentle was just gone. It was grief, and it was wearing the clothes of justice. The Punisher special is here, so before we watch Frank Castle do what Frank Castle does, I want to talk about why this character is so much more complicated than a man with a skull on his chest who kills people. The line between justice and vengeance is one of the most important lines in all of fiction, and Frank Castle crossed it a long time ago. And the question I keep coming back to is, did he actually have a choice? Let's get into it. You guys remember the graveyard scene in Daredevil Season 2? Frank tells Matt about coming home from war, about his little girl running toward him from across the classroom, about that one moment of having everything he ever wanted right there in front of him, and then losing all of it. Jon Bernthal delivers that scene in a way that, I don't know, man, it breaks something in you if you have a heart. It's the moment you realize that the Punisher isn't a violent man who lost his family. He's a loving man who lost his entire reason to be gentle. And that distinction is crucial to understanding this character. Jon Bernthal said something about playing this character that I think is the most honest description I've ever heard. He said Frank Castle is the most loving person he has ever played. And I think that's exactly right. Every brutal thing Frank does is grief. It is love with nowhere left to go. No person left to protect. So it turns outward toward the people who took everything from him. And it just keeps going. The violence isn't evidence of a broken moral compass. It's evidence of how completely intact that compass was before the world destroyed everything it was pointed at. If you guys caught the recent hero and villain videos on this channel, you know I've been building out a framework for what actually separates heroes from villains. 5 pillars: awareness, conviction, courage, strength, and grace. Frank Castle, he hits 4 of them. With awareness, you watch the way Frank operates in the Netflix show. The planning, the preparation, the way he never walks into a situation without having already mapped out every exit and every threat. He's not operating on anger. Anger is sloppy. Frank is never sloppy. He reads rooms, he reads people, and he reads situations in a way that most characters in this universe simply cannot match. With conviction, there is no argument that reaches Frank Castle. There's no authority that redirects him. Matt Murdock, one of the most morally serious, most persuasive characters in the Marvel Universe, cannot move him. Karen Page, who gets closer to Frank's humanity than almost anyone, cannot move him. He made a decision the day he lost his family, and he has never once looked back. It's conviction at its most absolute. Now, courage. The Punisher show gives us someone who absorbs punishment that would stop anyone else and just keeps going. It honestly feels like a man who decided that dying before the mission is finished is simply not an option. For strength, Frank lost everything, and he did not collapse. He built something out of the wreckage of his life. It's a terrible something, but it's something. The capacity to absorb that kind of loss and keep moving is strength in its most raw form. So what happened to Grace? Frank Castle does not have anything left to aim the love at. The flashbacks in the show, those quiet moments with his family, the hallucinations, those are the memories of someone who knew exactly what he had, and he cannot accept that it's gone. His love is real. His grief is real. But his love collapsed inward, backward, toward the past and toward vengeance, rather than outward toward the living. And that single missing thing, Grace pointing outward, is actually the difference between Frank Castle and a hero. So where exactly is the line between justice and vengeance? Because from the outside, they can look almost identical. Both are responses to wrongdoing. Both carry a moral logic. Both feel, to the person doing them, like the right thing. The difference is who they're actually for. Justice is for the living. It's oriented outward, toward a community, towards something that extends beyond the wound that created it. It asks, what does the world need in order to be safer, more whole? Vengeance is for the dead. It's oriented backward, toward the lost, toward the people who caused it, toward a debt that can never actually be repaid, no matter how many people you make pay it. It asks, what do I owe the ones I lost? And the thing about Frank is I genuinely believe he knows the difference. He is not confused about what he's doing or why. He's not operating under any illusion that what he does makes the world better in any systemic way. He just doesn't care. And that right there is the tragedy of Frank Castle. He is not a villain. His compass is not broken. He knows exactly where the line is. He crossed it, and he would cross it again without hesitation. And as we get closer to Spider-Man Brand New Day, Frank might actually be the least broken person in that movie. Peter Parker is trying to forget he's Spider-Man. Bruce Banner has been at war with himself for years. Frank isn't at war with anything. He knows exactly what he is. And somehow that reads as more broken to us. It's a really interesting way to think about things. The difference between Frank and Matt, it isn't courage or strength or conviction. They have all of those in roughly equal measure. The difference is that Matt has something to submit his darkness to. A faith, a community, something that tells him the darkness has limits and that those limits matter. Frank has nothing left to submit to. And that specific gap where grace should be is what turns a man who has every quality of a hero into something even the people who love him can't fully look at. So Frank Castle is not a villain. He's a loving man who lost his entire reason to be gentle and has been searching for it in all the wrong places ever since. The Punisher special is going to give us more of that. More of the man underneath the skull who I think still sees his daughter running across the classroom every time he closes his eyes. If you guys want more of this kind of breakdown, that's exactly what the Doomsday Clock series on this channel is doing. And the next video on that arc drops on Thursday. I'll see you there.